Welcome to The Holistic High Achiever. I'm your host, Kaitlin Rohowetz. This podcast is proudly sponsored by A Better Body, my therapeutic massage studio here in Madison, where massage is so much more than just relaxation. At A Better Body, we believe in personalized, empowering care that supports your overall health and wellness, because when you feel better, you do better. And as a high achiever myself, I know how easy it is to push your own needs aside while you're chasing goals and building a business or caring for others. And that's why this podcast exists. It's for all my fellow high achievers, entrepreneurs and mompreneurs, go-getters that want to thrive in a fast-paced modern world without sacrificing their health, burning themselves out, or continuing to put their own health on the back burner. Yes, we talk about health, we talk about nutrition and movement and easy solutions to living healthier, but we also cover topics like goal setting, building habits, and overcoming challenges and limiting beliefs, which can be applied to any area, including health, so that you can thrive holistically. Hello, high achievers. I might start to sound like a broken record for some of you who listen to me regularly, but I'm going to repeat myself and start today's episode with another ask to vote for us for Best of Madison. I'm super honored that Holistic High Achiever has even been nominated, since this is the first year doing it. So that means we made the top 6. So June is the last month to cast one final vote. And like I've said before, this is a passion of mine. This is a passion project of mine. It's not an income producing thing, which I feel like even says a lot, that I'm doing this because I love it. And I love sharing the knowledge and the motivation and hearing from you guys and helping people. So if that resonates with you, I would love, love, love if you would take a moment. We will, of course, put the link in the show notes. I'm probably posting it on social media to get that vote. Or if you've already voted, ask one of your friends or family, or log in their email address and vote for them. So on to today's episode. I'm going to talk about reaching your potential today. And I want to start by talking about a Pilates instructor that I know who talks a lot with her clients about strength and like your muscular range. We all have this strength range that we're capable of. And if you always stay in the middle of that range, or what I like to call your comfort zone, it feels easy. You feel capable. You never really push past your capacity. But the problem with that, even though it feels good, it feels comfortable, is that your range eventually starts to decrease. You'll still be able to do those things that were in the middle, but since the middle has now become closer to the top, if you're not careful, the middle can start feeling harder, and eventually you can actually start decreasing and gradually over time what you're capable of. I've had a lot of conversations with physical therapists about this too, and how important it is to push your range. At the same time, not overdo it. I'm going to talk about that. Don't injure yourself, because pushing too much can cause injuries, especially repetitive use, which we see a lot of in the massage world. But how to push yourself enough so that your strength grows instead of decreasing over time. That's kind of that sweet spot, is like challenge yourself from time to time, do hard workouts, train for a marathon, lift heavy shit, try new kinds of classes, and push that comfort zone. Push yourself outside of that comfort zone. Not every day. Leave time for active recovery. Leave time where you do yoga or go for a walk. Get a massage once in a while, hopefully at A Better Body. And pushing those limits shows yourself time and time again what your body is capable of. It's capable of incredible things, because once in a while you'll have pushed it often enough that all of a sudden you're like, did I just do that? You'll run your fastest mile yet. You'll do your first headstand in yoga. You'll run your first half marathon. You'll complete your first Murph challenge. You'll go up in weights at the gym just because the regular dumbbells you've been using no longer feel heavy anymore. Right? When you continue to push that range, you're getting stronger, you're growing, you're pushing the limits, you're expanding your range rather than decreasing it. And all the while, when we're talking about our bodies, like when you're doing that and you're building strength, you're feeling incredible, because exercise is great for your health, your mental health. When you're doing it with some balance too, you're not just pushing yourself nonstop to punish yourself for all the things you've been eating. You're doing it because it then feels good. So these ideas that I've kind of gathered about musculature, they make sense, right? I've been in the massage world for long enough, 15 years or something plus years at this point, that In theory, all of this makes sense, but it got me thinking, these conversations I've had with Pilates instructors and physical therapists, on how this absolutely also applies to life. The concept of how your range can apply to financial success, relationship success, romantic and friendships, right? Nutritional success, and just overall your potential in life. We all have potential. If you're listening to this podcast, you're not a dumb person. You have a growth mindset. You've probably already had some success in many areas of your life, and you've likely even had enough success that you're now at what you used to think was the top of your range. A goal that you had set for yourself that you've now attained and you're comfortable there. But it didn't used to be your comfort zone. You've grown into that. You leveled up. You expanded your range. Or at least you're in a phase where you're listening to this podcast and you're taking steps towards that next range. Maybe you haven't reached it, but you're taking the steps to start expanding your range because you understand the idea of that and you have that growth mindset. You want to take things to the next level and you no longer want to do the things that only feel easy. You want to do the things that feel a little bit hard, and then eventually those things become easier because you form habits, and the things that used to feel hard just begin to feel like second nature. And that's a beautiful place to be. A couple examples are, if you're in sales, the first couple hundred calls you can make feel hard and weird and awkward, but then eventually you do it enough that you just kind of follow your flow. It's not even a script anymore. It's not even like a thing you're following. It's like the back of your hand. It feels like a conversation that you're having with a bestie. The first time you buy a home can feel super scary, especially in today's market. But once you've gone through the process, you're like, okay, I get it. It wasn't actually that bad. Or maybe it was. I don't know. But you did it and you succeeded. You bought it, right? Maybe you put yourself in the running for a promotion at work for a job that you were maybe barely qualified for. But then you actually get it and you do the job well. You thrive at it. When you start a new business, it feels hard. Because it is, but you do all the things. And then all of a sudden you're booked out and have a full list of clients before you even know it. And now you need to hire help. You take the leap in starting a family and it's hard, but all of a sudden you just figure it out. And it's not perfect, but it's beautiful and 100 times more fulfilling than you could have ever imagined. Eventually, my point here is that something that used to be hard, you pushed and expanded your range. And then eventually it doesn't feel as hard, or you overcome it and you grew from it. It begins to feel like old news because you've overcome it. You prove to your brain that it is now within range of your capabilities, of your potential. And on the flip side, if you always stay in your comfort zone, there is beauty in the comfort zone. But if you're always there and you never challenge yourself enough, you almost forget that you can absolutely do hard things. But you start to not believe you're capable of them, or that you just don't want to go through the effort. So you never make those first sales calls. You never take the steps to get pre-approved for a home. You never put yourself in the running for the promotion. You never start the business that you've always thought about starting. You never take that leap to start a family. And the list could go on. And maybe for some people that's okay. But I hope you're seeing the point I'm trying to make, in that by never pushing your range and stepping outside your comfort zone, you're missing out on incredible successes and just happiness in life. And I'm not saying things like this won't come without hardship. I'm actually saying the opposite. Most of them can, or absolutely will, come with hardship. But you feel the fear, you do it anyways, because you're up for the challenge and because you know you can come out on the other side. Now, the thing to watch for is doing too much all at once. Challenge your range, but don't overload the whole system. Use common sense. When you're in a season of challenge, be aware of recovery and balance and refilling your cup and recharging your battery so that you don't burn out. Because those of you who have listened to my first episode, I shared that, like an idiot, when I became a mom, also bought my first commercial property and moved my entire business, also only gave ourselves one day to move. I forgot about that. I bought a home and moved my home all in like a month or two's time. And I know what parents who are listening to this podcast are thinking is like, who would ever do that? Especially as a brand new parent, a first time parent. Well, me, because I was an idiot. I didn't know what I didn't know. I had a full on mental breakdown, you guys, and I can like smile about it and laugh about it now. But I like real talk. I was having panic attacks. I wasn't sleeping. I was not me. I could not function. And that is what complete burnout is. It's like you can't even function. That's doing too much all at once. I would never, ever, ever do that again. And if I could go back, I would absolutely do a ton of things very differently. And at the same time, now that I've gone through that, I'm not going to lie. It pushed my range. And now I'm kind of like, well, I guess I'm fucking superwoman then. When I finally started sleeping, my mental health got better. I didn't stay in that burnout forever. I climbed my way out with help from my amazing friends and family and a therapist and my coaches. And at the end, all of those changes ended up being very, very good things. We love our new space for our business, for a better body. It's just so nice. It's bigger, it's better. And I love owning the property versus having to rent and like ask permission to do certain things. My husband and I love our new house. I don't even know how to describe to you how much nicer it is. We love raising our beautiful baby in this home. He's not a baby anymore, but like I've said 100 times, he'll always be my baby. And of course, having a child, like Roman is absolutely the best thing in my life. You don't fully understand it until you have a kid of your own. So for those of you that may be listening and don't have kids, the best way I can explain it to people is like, if you own a pet, a dog, or if you don't have a pet, maybe like take a really dear friend or something, right? Bestie. Whatever love you feel for them, times it by 1,000. It's infinite. The amount of love that I didn't even know a human heart or body was capable of. And if you're a parent, you're like, yes, I know. But doing all these things, it rose the bar. It expanded the range because I just proved to myself that I was capable of so much more. And like I said, I wouldn't do it again. I learned from it. But one of the most important takeaways that I learned that I can expand my range, that it is possible. I would never again sign up for all of that at once. And also going forward, like you meet pregnant people and you're like, oh, let me give you some unsolicited advice. I always tell people during postpartum, put absolutely nothing on your plate. The only things that should be on your plate are taking care of this new baby and your own recovery. And if someone would have told me that, I probably still wouldn't have done it differently, but that's just my craziness. Now off my rant and back to my analogy. If you hustle 24/7, you will burn out. I don't care if you're having a new baby, moving your business, moving your house, starting a new job. If you do too much at once or for the same thing for too long, you will burn out. And then that's when people quit because they're burnt out. I think parenting is actually the exception. You can't really quit on raising a child. And that's why real moms are real life superheroes. But in a job, in a career, in nutrition, in a diet, anything else, when it gets too hard, when you're getting burnt out, you're like, fuck it. And you just stop, right? So, and if you always stay within your comfort zone, you don't grow. You don't expand your range. And you miss out on the most incredible things that life would have had in store for you. So why do I keep talking about these? Because these are two opposite ends of the spectrum. So some of you might be thinking, well, like, what the hell am I supposed to be doing then? If I'm not supposed to push too hard, but I'm also not supposed to stay in my comfort zone, what do I do? Well, depending on where you're at, the advice is different. And I've actually been thinking a lot about this and how some advice can actually feel very conflicting at times. And to be honest, even in my own content, because I talk a lot about small steps and improving that 1% so that you don't overcommit and you're trying to avoid burnout. It's not about deprivation. And then I just recently did an episode on getting comfortable being uncomfortable and being able to push yourself when it's time to push. So both can be true as long as you're using them correctly. And I think to sum all of that up, it's kind of just about doing things that challenge you, that scare you, but you do them anyways. But how do you talk about balancing it? Push enough, but not too much. Be in your comfort zone, but not too much. There's no perfect formula, unfortunately. The rule I always go back to is the 80-20 rule, which backpedals into awareness. Awareness is a big piece of this. If you find yourself in the same like mundane, day-to-day comfort zone, almost to the point that you're so comfortable you're almost bored, then it's probably time to add something, to make a change, to push a little bit, to go for something exciting, to take that next step and to level up. And I would love to see in the comments too of this episode, or tag me on Instagram, something that what's the next level for you? Like, what is a goal that would be something exciting for you that would level up? I'm not saying you have to go for it right now, but what excites you? Is it health related? Is it a weight loss goal? Is it a career goal? Is it starting a business? Is it taking a job? Is it moving to Hawaii? I have a client right now who's moving to Hawaii. So tag me. I want to know what these things are. Share this episode on Instagram and tag me in it, and then tell me what you're scared of, but excites you at the same time. And then in the reverse, if you find yourself, let's say you're not bored with the mundane, that you need excitement, that you're actually like too excited. You're like, this is enough. I'm stressed out. I'm working overtime. I'm feeling burnt out. My one piece of advice here for balance, there's never going to be 100% perfect balance all the time. Just make sure there's an end, that there's a plan for how and when you'll get out of that stress state. Because that's fine to go through specific seasons and specific goals that last a little longer, that like, okay, I'm getting this thing up and running for the next 30 days, 90 days, a year sometimes, depending on what you have the capacity for. It's going to be hard. There's nothing wrong with that as long as there is an end, because you can't go on like that forever. I just had lunch with a really good friend today, actually, who was talking a lot about her new job. That when she first got the job, she was like beyond excited about. I'm really motivated. And she's a go-getter. So she had no problem giving like 110%. Now she's like 4 months into the job and they're not quite following through on their promises. She's not making quite the pay that she thought she would be. And just like her day-to-day tasks isn't necessarily what she expected and what was originally communicated. So, but there's still hope for her joining the leadership team and getting into a management role. So I asked her, I said, well, first of all, how long will that take? And she said, probably another like 4 to 6 months. And then I asked, if you make it, will that stress have been worth it? And her answer was, I don't know. So I told her, then I don't know if it's worth going through, if you want my honest opinion. Because those are the two things. If there's an end, which there was, and when you get to the end, is it all going to have been worth it? If you put yourself through torture and you hate your life and you're super stressed out for she's already been there for 8 to 10 months. And at the end, you're like, meh, why? You know, the same thing with like diets and nutrition, right? If you torture yourself just to lose like 5 pounds, was it worth it? Like, you get to decide. I'm not telling you, but what is your answer? Because your answer will tell you. If you're like, I don't know. So if you're burning yourself out and the result isn't going to justify it, then stop. Change course, redirect. Now, on the flip side, if my friend had told me that all I have left is like 90 days of training and I get this huge raise and I'll have responsibilities that I enjoy way more and it'll definitely all be worth it. The grunt work I'll be out of and I'll be so much happier. And then it'll all have felt worth it. I would have given her a pep talk about how she's got this and she's just in the peak of the stress when a lot of people would quit. But if she can just get over the hump, it's temporary and it'll be worth it. So, you know, we had a different conversation, but it's about stepping back and reassess. There's a time when you need to do that step back and reassess your life. And if you listen to my episodes, you know I did an episode with Kristen as well as Amy, who both had situations where they had successful careers and successful jobs where they left their job without even having a next job lined up because they were able to step back and assess that this isn't going to get better anytime soon. And that's what makes them high achievers, that they have the courage to take the risks for the bigger payoff in the long run, to push and give 110% when it's needed to expand that range, and then scale back when it's just not fucking worth it. And lastly, I will say most of us think about like hitting that next level. You have a goal, for example, to lose like 10 pounds, and it feels hard. But when you get good at expanding your ranges, you don't just hit the next level. You crush the next like 10 levels. You lose the 10 pounds, you lose 20 pounds, and then you go run a marathon just because you can. I made a vision board a few years ago and set the big audacious goal of getting like 10 chair massage gigs per month. And now we do an average of 30 per month. But if you would have told me then that 30 should be my goal, I would have called you a crazy person. And I'm not saying that to brag. I say that to prove that pushing your limits has nothing to do with hitting that one next level. It's literally about like crushing the next several levels that you didn't even know you were capable of. And I know that that's true for each and every one of you who listen to this podcast because you have a growth mindset, or you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. That is one of my absolute favorite things to do as a coach, is to help people get to those. First, of course, you got to go level by level. You can't just like skip them. Sometimes you zoom past them fast, but they do go in order. Sometimes you have some back pedals. Things don't always work out as planned and you fail your way forward. But one of my favorite things to do as a coach is to support people to reach those next levels. So if this episode is resonating with you and you're struggling to get outside of your comfort zone because you're scared or whatever the reason is, or you just can't figure out the how, or you don't have the motivation to expand your range, please DM me, because I have never done this before, but the first 3 people to DM me on Instagram and just say I'm in are going to get a free Take Control strategy session, which is a 75-minute session with me where we walk through what your goal is, what your biggest challenges are, and what's keeping you stuck so that you can break past that glass ceiling once and for all, because I guarantee you kind of have an idea of what those goals are. You just haven't gone for them. And so I don't care if you're a past client, you've already worked with me, you're a new client, you're my friend already, if my mom is listening, or if we've never even met, whoever it is, if this is speaking to you, you are my ideal client, and I would love to help you reach that next goal, and then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, because I want to help you reach what you don't even know you're capable of yet. Okay. So if that's you, DM me on Instagram and just say I'm in, and I'll send you a link to fill out a form and schedule a time. Last but not least, I'm obviously going to ask one last time for a vote for Best of Madison, because I am a broken record, but truly it means the world to have even been nominated, but to continue to have your guys' support. I see more and more people subscribing and listening to the episodes and sharing, and we appreciate that support as well. But the vote for just the recognition always feels good too. So if you can take a moment, please go do that. The link will be in the show notes. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me today on the Holistic High Achiever. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and ready to take on the world one healthy step at a time. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, subscribe, and leave a review, or vote for us for Best of Madison. It helps so much. And if you're anything like me, you probably thought of someone else who would resonate with this. Please share it with them, because who can't use a little extra motivation? Until next time, friends, keep embracing your journey and kicking ass.